And here is the third passage of mock 12 for us, which deals with a problem that a lot of societies are grappling with, and that problem is addiction. So the author has a particular take on addiction, and that is, it is not rooted to a substance or an activity, but rather to the high that one derives from it. Then it says that, oh, getting that high, or that desire for that high is an inherent biological trait, and then it opens up the conversation and takes it beyond narcotic substances. Okay, and it reiterates once again that the agent does not matter, which is actually the very first sentence given to us in a different set of words. Then we have this third paragraph which talks about addiction to social media, and then fourth talks about what can make us more likely to be addicted. Fifth rules out one particular thing called availability, and thereafter it says that, okay, total quantum of addiction is like a water-filled balloon. You press it from one side, that addiction will go towards something else. So if you just controlling substances, you are not really going to control the addiction. And then we of course have this these last two paragraphs that talk about looking at it from a moral lens, where this penultimate one says that you look at it from moral lens and you believe that people can quit, but it is not the truth. And then the most pernicious aspect of the moralistic approach in the last paragraph. Let's dive into our questions. Here is ninth. Which of the following is true or can be inferred about addiction? So A, the quantum of addiction in some countries is measurable. The only place in the passage where the quantum is mentioned is this. And even here, they are not telling us that there are countries where this quantum can be measured, and therefore I'd say that A is can't say. B, social isolation inevitably leads to addiction. Once again, let me take you to the relevant part. The fourth paragraph says people who are not socially connected are more liable to getting addicted. They are more liable. Does that mean that it is inevitable? Nope. So therefore, even B is not true. So you notice A is can't say. B is also, B in fact can be termed false because such a strong association has not even been made. How about C? Addiction is an ailment and requires medical intervention. Yup. So look at this. Explicitly, kind of explicitly stated. It is also written in, I think, the fifth paragraph as well. So C is definitely true. Let's look at D. Addiction is rooted either in a substance or an activity, and this is definitely false, going by the very first part of the passage, the very first line of the passage. So on the whole, A can't say, B is false, D is false, C is true, and therefore we can say that C can be inferred on the basis of the passage, making C our answer. Here is the next. Which of the following, if true, strengthens the author's contention in the statement? Availability has very little to do with addiction. Okay, so we want to strengthen that availability has very little to do with addiction. So let's see. A, alcohol is legal, easily available. 85% of Indians are teetotalers. So what do we get from this? There is a substance which is available, yet a significant majority is not addicted, which means that even when a substance is available, it does not lead to addiction. It probably requires some other things as well. So does this strengthen? Yes. B. Oh, B says easily available, 85% of men are alcoholics. This in fact goes on to say that availability could be connected with addiction. If anything, this will weaken. So B is definitely ruled out. C, the availability, affordability of video games contributed to a gaming addiction. Once again, this weakens. It says that the availability is linked with addiction. Fast foods are cheap and ubiquitous, making people eat them more. Once again, ubiquitous is easily available. So availability is linked with addiction, and therefore this also weakens. And therefore B, C and D are ruled out. A is the only one that strengthens and therefore should be chosen as our answer. Question number 11. Which of the following can be concluded from the last paragraph of the passage? Here is the last paragraph of the passage for you. Perhaps the most pernicious aspect of a moralistic approach to combating substance abuse is its effect on small-time users who, if apprehended, heavily penalized, incarcerated, when what they really need is treatment and support. Okay, so let's look at options. A, merciless people. Can we infer it from the last paragraph? It is not even mentioned there. B, must be rooted out by the moralistic approach. Hey, come on, the paragraph in fact goes on to suggest the exact opposite. This is false, so can be eliminated. The most damaging effect of the moralistic approach to combat drugs is borne by small-time substance abusers. The paragraph says perhaps the most pernicious. So perhaps the most pernicious, is that equal to the most damaging? I think we are missing out on the word perhaps, but the rest of it is backed up by the passage. So if I have to apply a label, I'll actually say can't say. D, small-time users can be cured of addiction by penalties and incarcerations, false. So you notice B and D are definitely false. A and C are both can't say technically, but then we have absolutely nothing mentioned to support A. And in C, except for that perhaps, everything else can be backed up by the passage. So that makes C a higher probability as compared to A. That makes C a stronger conclusion as compared to A. And therefore, our answer to question number 11 should be option C. So there you go. And with that, let's dive into our last question. Question number 12. Which of the following can be inferred about the author's view? Now, this line was at the beginning of our penultimate paragraph. Let me show you that context. Right? Now, if we look at the options, addiction should be viewed through a moral lens. I think the paragraph contradicts it. It advocates not doing that. The moral lens view of addiction only increases addiction, can't say. All we know is that it does not help. C, people who are addicted to a substance can quit when they choose to do so, false. They cannot. Moralistic people, when you look at it from moral lens, you have that belief, but they cannot. D, addicts cannot rehabilitate themselves and need treatment to do so, yes. It basically says that it is beyond them. In fact, the very next sentence would also bear it. It was just an elaboration of this idea. So D is true on the basis of this particular sentence, and that is why our answer here should be option D. So that's about passage 3 for us.